We finally made it, Alex. We finally made it. Thank you for joining me today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first episode of the Authenticity Hour. We finally made it. I've been hyping this up on LinkedIn for a little while now, and I'm really excited because I think podcasts are one of my favourite mediums of entertainment. And you know what? It's been something I've always thought of doing because I'm always better in a conversation. Trying to put me in front of a camera and ask me to do solo videos has not gone so well so far. So it's good that I can bring this to the world and just bring on people that are genuine, right? And that's the name of the game. So I'm joined today by marketing extraordinaire Alex Toti. Welcome, good sir.
Thank you. It's an honour to be the first guest on your podcast.
You had to be the first. You had to be the first. And I'll tell you why you had to be the first, because when we worked together, I think I've never met anyone at work that was as similar as me, and it was a bizarre experience.
It was day one.
Yeah, day one. I just had the exact same hobbies. I was like,
yeah.
What?
Does help.
What? Yeah, and I was like, I'm terrible at making friends.
That's the thing. It's basketball.
Yeah, and I worked too hard, so I was like, oh man, this guy has the same interests as me.
Yeah.
This is crazy. So we need to talk about some stuff.
Rare breed, last of a dying breed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Basketball should be a mainstay here in the UK. I'm looking at you, BBL. Up your game.
Yeah. Well, I saw a thing the other day. You know that basketball gets third least funding out of any sport.
Redonkulous.
Yeah. Badminton's above it. Everything's above it.
It's most exciting. I can't comprehend how people
squash is above it.
Sit there for an hour and a half watching football, and nothing could happen. Nothing.
Yeah.
Whereas every 24 seconds something's got to happen in basketball. My ADHD will never understand.
Well, they had did you see that they had a celebrity, UK celebrity basketball game the other day for AJ Tracy's album?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They had they were all terrible. So if any of you are watching, you were terrible. You have no jumpers.
Oh my God.
But yeah, it's nice to at least see that there's celebrities that are starting to come around to it. It's almost a bit more popular now.
Yeah.
So hopefully, because I think once there's more interest, because I think at the moment they're just not marketing it right.
Yeah.
BBL properly.
And you can thank the Americans and their sneaker marketing for how it's come over here.
Yeah.
Because that culture is basically the only reason it exists in the UK.
It's kind of crazy now.
Yeah. And, we were there before it was cool, just saying. So.
Yeah. Southampton Foot Locker. I was there on my ones.
Man, I used to work there, man. I was getting you all your size 9s before I was here, okay? But that's part of the journey, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to have a chat today, really, because one of the main topics that we wanted to talk about is things we wish we knew before we got into marketing. Endless list, by the way. We love marketing, really, we promise. But yeah, it's an endless list. So did you have any in mind that were that first popped to mind? Because I know I've got a few.
Well, my main one, and it's not necessarily, you can teach yourself it, but there's no one tells you this, but you need to be good at storytelling, but in a way that yourself, when you speak and when you write, your communication, you need to be able to, compel people to listen to you. And that
Massive.
Is useful in content, if you're writing content, if you're in a meeting, if you're doing video, if you're, you just need to be able to tell a story. Now, obviously, images and video can help that come along.
Somewhat.
The visual side of it definitely helps, but words, being able to manage your words as best possible, for me, because we all have those friends. You ever had those friends where they might be telling just the most boring story, but the way they're telling it, you carry on and then it comes to
it's such a skill. I love it. I love hearing someone tell a whack story, but it's actually I just can't stop watching this.
Yeah, exactly. So if you have anybody in your life or people that you watch or celebrities or whoever that you think is a really good speaker, a really good orator, try and pick up tips from them. If you have them in your life, ask them for advice on how how they do it. For some people, it just comes naturally.
Yeah.
Like most things, it's a bit of a talent, but try and learn how to storytell, I'd say, because it helps in so many ways, and there's no university degree that's going to tell you how to storytell.
No, and a lot of it actually comes from practice and putting yourself out there at some point. So it depends on what kind of communicator you are at first. Like, you can begin blog writing or doing mini posts on LinkedIn or whatever. Like, depends on how you actually communicate best, and then you can build out from there. Because little things like, I feel like I'm much better in a setting, in a conversational setting, or in a presentation setting where I've got something to bounce off of. But if you just set me in front of a camera, I then forget everything I was going to say. And it's not that I can't say it, it's just I've forgotten. I feel like Neville when he's forgotten his remember all in Harry Potter. Like, I can't remember what I've forgotten. Like, obscure reference for any of you out there. But yeah, it do be like that, which is also my favourite phrase.
I think one way to almost that helps is if you read and just consume as much content as you can. It's from very, different styles, different types. Video, books. Even just social media, if there's social media accounts that you like and they tell stories well. Yeah,
they're the best micro storytellers. The people that have to post every day. Yeah, like the people that we hate, the Jake Pauls,
Yeah, but then that's the thing. The more you consume, you find the stuff that you like and you find the stuff that you don't like. And it will, over time, you'll evolve to find your own, because you want to, this is the authenticity hour. So you want to be yourself, but at the same time, some people feel like, I can't be myself because I'm not as entertaining and I'm not that person and I don't put myself out there. But everyone has something that people want to listen to, or you can find your own way in explaining things and telling stories, but learn from others and consume as much media as possible so that you find what you like and what you don't like.
100%. It's the Seth Godin principle of find your tribe. Like, and if TikTok hasn't shown us anything, is that the way their For You page works in terms of you fall into your own rabbit hole of whatever you like consuming. You need to think of your content in terms of a rabbit hole someone could fall in. So that's where you can create a series of content around what fits best for you and what kind of sits best in that niche. And if it's something extremely obscure, you can branch out a little bit in terms of just to help reach in general. But overall, you are entertaining to someone, and it is a very bizarre concept. I mean, how many basic influencers do we see? I don't care the kind of Starbucks you picked up. Like, I don't care that you got your nails done at 10. Like, but someone does, and it's just a phenomenon that we see every single day for lots of different creators, and yet businesses aren't trying to follow suit because they feel like they can't. And they get stuck in a business box. And that's what drives me nuts. And that's literally why we're sat here talking right now, is because that core principle is what pushes us forward.
Get those fit pics off, King. That's what it's about.
Yeah,
someone wants to see it. And you're not going to be good at it straight away.
No. This is the thing. Like, take a principle from the YouTube algorithm. When you're starting on YouTube, your first 100 videos don't matter. And it sucks that 100 whole videos go to waste. But in those 100 videos, you learn so many more things than those 100 videos. And then you're more recognized from the content volume you put out. And that's pretty much most platforms at the moment. So use your early days in your platforms to make as many mistakes as possible. Take risks, test the same ways we take those principles from Facebook advertising and things like that. Do that. If you have an analytical brain, think of it like that. But that's like the key way to conquer it. Just do it. Not principle. Frustrated. Yeah, because people get so fixated on numbers and vanity metrics when it comes to social, to the point where they'll buy followers for their brand. Just completely tank their account.
Yeah, and don't force anything. Talk about what you like talking about. Like that's where you start. We all can speak about the things that we know a lot better than the things that we don't.
Yeah.
And it's evident especially when you get on camera and you start talking about things that you don't want, or you're in a meeting and they ask you a question and you're just trying to wing it. Like, winging it is done. No more winging it.
Yeah, just be you, right? Just lean into your strengths. Yeah. And it's very, some would phrase it as airy-fairy advice. Like, that's not concrete.
Yeah, they heard that all before. Tell stories. Everyone's heard that one all before. But honestly, it's things, if I had been told beforehand, while I was doing my degree or something, that you need to learn how to talk and public speaking and like communication as a whole, that for me is the most important thing with marketing. Yeah. And then, obviously empathy and stuff like that is important. Yeah. Very important. But I think communicating well and communicating where people want to listen to you. Doesn't matter what you're saying. If you connect with people, which the easiest way is like we're doing right now, face to face, speaking, and that's for me. I think that seeps into so many other areas of life as well, and it's just a good tool to have.
100%. Like that. There's a scientific backing to that as well. Like many of my clients know it, because I mention in pretty much every meeting. It's called the parasocial connection. So for some bizarre reason, we cannot tell the difference between an interaction that happens over a screen and an interaction that happens in person. So this is why we build obscure relationships with influencers, and that we feel like we know them. And this is why podcasting as a video medium is as successful as it is, because you already feel like you know me talking right now, because you feel like you're in the room. And this sounds dumb, and you're probably like, oh, what not? But it is genuinely what's happening right now. And it's great that that's a phenomenon. But it's something that we really need to keep in mind, especially if you have, let's say, a product that has a high level of trust you need to overcome. So if it's something new or something that requires a high level of education, having a face that can just explain and just be there, even if you're chatting absolute twallop for like 30 minutes, like I don't mind. Like, as long as that you're there and you're human, that's all that matters.
Yeah. What about you? You got anything you wish you knew before you started this?
For me, like we were talking about earlier with strengths, like we all have them, and trying to be good at everything, especially for us perfectionists out there, is very difficult. And you can get wrapped up in the rabbit hole of trying to be good at everything. And one of the things I've always struggled with is maths and statistics and data. And whenever I'm like forced to look through it, I'm seeing the same thing as someone else. So I'm like, beep, bop, boop, beep. I can't, like, it's sometimes like, has anyone ever seen Percy Jackson and the numbers and the words start moving on the page? Like, dyslexia hits full force, and I'm like, oh boy. Or is it dyspraxia, the one with numbers? But undiagnosed, by the way, just self-diagnosing on camera. But that's for me, the amount of analytics and data that has come into marketing, I think, has diluted the creative sphere, because a lot of people just have a massive focus on like data science, hack it. Like, you can use the numbers to predict people's activity, algorithms, AI, and it's like, going back to those core advertising fundamentals are changing the game for so many companies, and the most successful companies are the ones that have played on that perfectly. And this is why I struggle to the data is important, but have you considered making a good ad? It's just little things like that.
Yeah, on the connection side more than the analytical side.
Yeah.
Give it like a couple of years, AIs will do it for you. So I think you just hold out for them.
Honestly, like, if anyone is in the TikTok marketing sphere at the moment, there's a software I keep seeing called Copy.ai. So shouts out to them, who have created a platform that helps write up creative copy for your ad and predicting what's been successful in the past.
I've seen it, and it's good. Obviously, it has its
as a limitation, but the fact that you can automate that now, and creative copywriting is now, that first step to it is being removed, is slightly unsettling, but also very useful, because it's used historical data to figure out how people respond to those things the most. But if we all leaned into that, when people start seeing this very similar type copy all the time, they'll automatically be able to tell how automated it is. Yeah. And then there'll be this massive resentment towards it. And
because don't get bots to tell your stories. Get them to do all of the quick stuff. Get them to do the quick stuff.
Yeah.
That you just can't be bothered.
Admin, but when you're talking to humans, a human must write it. And that is my old man stance. I'll stay by that.
Yeah.
That is my boomerism for the day. Today's boomerism. It needs to be steadfast in humans write to humans. I talk to one individual on the other end of that screen, and it should not change from there, because then it just
if you're trying to say something with meaning and trying to connect with someone. But if you're like we're open this till this, get it automated.
Yeah. Basic messages, farm it out, right? Yeah. Another thing that I found really interesting lately is work from home culture and how people are responding to it. So me just starting, we're 11 months into starting Shogun, so it's been a really wild journey. But thank you. I'd like to thank the Academy. But during that journey, I've worked from home, I've worked in different office spaces. Now we're here at Barclays Eagle Lab. Shout out to Barclays Eagle Labs for the setup. But I am a person that needs to go to a place to get myself in a frame of mind. But I like the choice that I can go home. And I think this has unlocked a whole new thing of like, oh, I can choose, which we have never had before. And now my brain's confused about how we put up with it for so many years. Like, I can't comprehend how we were just like accepted that that's the way things are.
I mean, obviously it's kind of subjective, and we all have our own opinions on it. I think that the 5 days in the office is probably contributing to the mental health crisis of the UK, especially at the moment, and maybe the Western world. And I know for me, if I'm doing tasks, being at home is a lot better. If it's just get your head down and do them, because you can work at your own pace and everything. And there's also that like stigma that like you can't be seen just taking a quick 5 in the office. You can, but don't do it like once an hour. But if you need it, and that help, and that's the way you work, because that's the other thing I think this is exposed, is that people do work in different ways, and having like a standardized, you're in your cubicle, here's your targets, done. Yeah, some people can thrive from that, but especially in like a creative atmosphere, you wouldn't tell an artist to go and do that. But if you're creating content, sure, might be in a corporate setting, but essentially it's an art form in itself. Yeah. But yeah, I like being in the office for collaborative things.
Yeah, it feels like it opens up doors, and it feels more special when you're not in there all the time, I feel. Yeah. So there's this another mode you get in now where I'm in the office, I'm supercharged, we're having actual meetings with real people. Yeah. Like, thank God we can do this again now. But then I can, like, next day when I've got all the actual follow-up of that meeting to do, I can then put my head down afterwards. Yeah. And that, like, any employer that's trying to take that choice away, you're a whack.
You're
do
doing
that,
it wrong.
please.
It's not going to work.
Even being a fresh employer now, I'm never going to take that choice away, because like, especially if I was going to do it anyway. Yeah. Because before, bosses would do that, wouldn't they? It was like you could just swan in and out when you wanted. But now everyone should have that choice.
Well, it's like life in the core pillars of your life, like your relationships, the meaning that you give to your life, your career, your activity, physical health and mental health. It's all a balance. And when you have 5 out of your 7 days in a particular space with a group of people, which, if you get on with your team, then great. That's like, I guess a privilege in a way. But if you don't, that can be, detrimental. And it's so imbalanced.
Big uh-oh.
Like even a 4 days on, 3 days off, so like a 4-day work week would probably be more balanced. Obviously, I think having like half the week work, half the week play might be a bit too casual.
Yeah, because I was thinking about big brands like Apple have now said, like, obviously they've got this massive campus in is it LA or somewhere in California, and they're saying, right, you need to be in 3 days a week.
Really?
Yeah, and then you can use the other 2 as flexi time. And there's been a massive pushback inside Apple because of that. And then I'm like, oh, they just spent an ungodly amount of money on that facility. And I'm like, I can kind of see why they've done it. But at the same time, making that decision now might backfire for them.
I mean, I don't know about you, but it feels like we're just constantly trying to get faster and quicker and more efficient, and it's almost driving us into it. Like you said with the mental health stuff, it's constantly trying to get quicker and quicker and quicker doesn't really help anything. So I mean, personally, I'd like us to just maybe slow down and not do as much, but have more quality about it.
I feel like we need to take a leaf out of the book of our Spanish brethren from across the water. Bring in those siestas, mate. Shut everything down for an hour and let me nap, please. Yeah. Because even though I've always been a bit of a workaholic, but now I'm like, that would, if that was a thing, I feel like we should leverage that. And I think everywhere else in the world, apart from the UK and the US, I think has a slower pace of life. I think we've done it to ourselves, really, just from like our past in general, and just the way we kind of drive the Western world a little bit in some ways. So yeah, it is tricky because that's a massive cultural fix.
Yeah, and you got to be available in the day.
Yeah,
because people, especially older generations, do work to that set timings and aren't as, it's almost like cut off point. Yeah. I mean, it has been for, decades. Yeah. So it's a tough one. I mean, I think that eventually we will end up in that flexible, it's almost whatever the individual's preferences are.
Yeah, because I think let's bring in technology into the fold, right, to help like support a business when there's some people that are active, some people that aren't, and there's certain businesses that would be able to do that, depending on your scale or your niche or whatever. But I feel like it's a change that we'll find in the next few years, I think.
Yeah.
But just having the options nice. If there's one positive from the horrid catastrophe that's been COVID,
I love it. You used to feel guilty for asking to work from home. Do you know what I mean?
It was taboo, wasn't it?
Yeah, they'd be like, "Why?" Because you're not going to do.
You're going to do fuck all. That's what you're going to do. You do nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe.
Look, so long as the work gets done.
Yeah.
Look,
like,
don't worry how.
I might procrastinate until 5 p.m. and then start, but I'm going to do it because, you know.
It's going to be good.
I'm going to keep my job.
If you take pride in your work and you want to produce quality, you're going to produce quality.
Yeah.
Whether you do it at 5 a.m, 12 midday, or midnight.
And company culture is what gives you that mentality, right? Unless you work for yourself, and then there's a whole different kind of set of motivations. And then that's another talking point today, is really just kind of toxic corporate cultures. And with that shift now, like I've always been like, as soon as I entered a corporate like world, my body rejected it wholeheartedly. I've never had a panic attack before until that one time I was at a corporate job and I was like, like looking in the mirror, like, oh my god, I'm in the Matrix now. Yeah. Like if someone handed me the pill choice right now, I would definitely break away from the aliens. And so I was like, how? But this is how vast people think so differently, because like someone else, well, everyone else around me was not fazed by it. They might have been more silently, but I like couldn't stay there any longer. I didn't know how to process what was going on, but then others are just like, yeah, it's cool. Yeah. And fair play, like for being able to do it that way. But and that just shows me how different people are, right? But I think toxic corporate cultures do need to change. But it depends on what factors you think make them toxic.
It's definitely coming to a head now. I think it's the new generation is so online and so instant gratification and quicker, that just the way we work is going to change a lot. It already is. I mean, the pandemic definitely was like a catalyst for it to speed up. Yeah. But, I don't think, I mean, just to close off on the like working from home stuff. Yeah. I don't think I could do 5 days back in the office. But like, if unless there was reasons and we, you know, there was collaborative things happening. Yeah. Like if it was a week of like, we're doing filming this day, we're going to do podcast this day, we're going to do photography this day, we're going to do ideas for the next quarter and all of this, and you needed that interaction, then makes sense. But in terms of actually getting my work done, you're probably going to get more quality if I'm in my own space, in my own environment. Yeah. And hey, look, if you're a business owner, that's just cheaper. You know, you don't have to get the big,
no office cost, people.
You know, so, and equipment too.
Yeah, and like having actually been there and done that process. So we started on a remote model, and then I was like, it might be nice to actually get everyone together so we can be more creative and collaborative. Then I found out that actually that's not what everyone wanted. So I was like, oh, okay, we'll just go back to how it worked, and it's improved. Yeah. So your old preconceptions, and I think that especially from a business owner point of view, you get like, oh, okay, is everything getting done? And you just get a bit worried about it, especially if you work with clients and stuff. But it's just a thing you need to let go. Easier said than done. But it's once you do let it go, a whole new world. Like,
but just set up those communication channels so that you are on top of it. And I think that people generally have. Obviously, we're all sick of Zoom.
Slack, WhatsApp, we love you. Email, you suck.
Emails.
Too many emails. Yeah. I mean, what do you think makes a business feel toxic internally? Like, is there like certain red flags that if you join a new job, you'd be like, hello, like what are the specific elements?
Just like, I mean, communication and knowing where you stand and what is expected of you and those sort of things. I think if everyone's on the same page and everyone knows their role, like in any team, like if we take it back to basketball, the teams that don't work are the teams where people don't really know their roles and they might be dependent on one team member to like do most of the lifting, and then people start to get resentful because, oh, well, you know, they're not pulling their weight. Yeah. I'm having to, you know, clean up other people's, you know, jobs and stuff. I think communication, being on the same page, support is a huge one.
Yeah.
You have the support, but I mean, every business is different. There's no formula, but
there's no silver bullet, is there? I mean, like, communication can also feel forced, which is another thing. Like, when you're like, oh, we have a check-in meeting here and we have a check-in meeting there, and you have to be here for this, and it's like, we know that's supposed to open up communication, but like now we feel like we're forced into it instead of it happening almost naturally. Although workflows and processes are important, again, it depends on your team comp.
Yeah.
That depends on how they'll respond to it. So you almost have to get your team comp together as long as they're aligned with your culture, which I think is probably the most important bit, because if they're all on the same page culturally and what our like North Star is inside, then you can form a process around your team that you've got, and then change it and iterate it once you add new team members in or as you scale. And I think that's probably the missing trick, is leading with culture. But culture, it tends to be quite an ambiguous term that no one can lock down, because I don't think you can, unless you have specific goals you want to execute internally. And a specific mission you have, because plenty of businesses just operate to make money and don't have a clear mission. And the mission was an afterthought when the business was made, because we realised we needed an MVF statement for a business plan. Like, so it depends on what kind of business it is really.
And you need a leader as well. I think a leader is so important. Who, you know, they might have their specialty, but someone who is setting the example,
brings the energy back into the room, like, and gets everyone like jazzed back up again. And that's a freaking skill in itself, and really rare to see.
That's tough. But going back to the point about being a good speaker, writer, that is that is almost essential if you want to be a leader. You need to have all of those areas on lock, because you need to connect with people on a daily basis, and you've got to have the energy for it too. Which is half the battle, is finding the energy.
Yeah, just shaking it off and then getting ready to go back into the room. I think there was a nice video. I think it was like a school CCTV camera of a teacher, like, obviously having a mad day, and then just before he went to that classroom, we see him take a moment, shake off, and then go in. And I feel like it was such a small thing that probably many of us have done, but it was right place, right time, and really resonated with a lot of people. And I'm like, wholesome stuff that goes viral.
A little meditation, never hurt anybody.
Trust me, headspace is the king right now for that, for sure. One of the things is another great topic is the shifts in marketing that we've seen. And obviously it all rolls on from the shifts we've seen from COVID and everything like that, work from home culture. But I think the biggest thing for me has been how TikTok has influenced the entire market, both marketing wise and like music. Like, everyone
massively.
Anyone who's actually been on social media at all, you've been consuming TikToks even if you don't have the platform. And then I just get annoyed with people like, just get it. Like, oh my god, it will change your life. But I love what it's done. It's almost an anti-social platform, depending on what side of it you are. So for those who aren't familiar, it has two sections: your following and your For You page. Your For You page acts almost like your YouTube recommender section, where it will just form to exactly what you want to see and what you like. We were just touching on how TikTok's influenced everything, pretty much.
Not me.
Not Alex. Alex is a goddamn lone wolf.
Nah, I'm an anomaly. I'm just so done. But especially when you work in digital marketing, you're very picky.
Yeah, you get sometimes very anti-platform.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm fully.
You have to be on them all day.
Yeah.
And you're only going to open them up again. It feels like...
Like at work? Yeah. So you'll be on them all day. Like, I've literally only got Instagram and LinkedIn.
Yeah, if I'm on the ads manager all day, the last thing I want to do is open up Facebook.
Yeah, I don't want to look at ads. But you see it in a different way, I think, because you see behind the scenes and you see when you're trying to be targeted to, and no one likes it. But if you had a genuine offering that I'm interested in, because that's the other thing, ads are getting too intrusive now, but at the same time, because they're just picking up on what they think that you like. I mean, maybe it's different for me, but they're getting it wrong.
This is the fork in the road I think a lot of people have, especially with iOS 14. So let's say you open up Facebook and Apple gives you the choice, say, like, we'll stop anyone tracking you now. You have to go, okay, fine. but that means you're just going to get ads that mean absolutely nothing to you.
Yeah, we're still going to give you ads.
Like, you're going to get bullshit ads for, like, stuff that
get away from the ads?
You
can't get away from
Want to break from the ads?
Yeah.
So
they can be in your house. They're coming to your house. Wake up with some sign on your door.
Hide your kids, hide your wife. Yeah, look, you'll start getting ads for like chair legs and stuff that doesn't matter to you. And although like there's a lot of interest-based targeting, remarketing for products that actually might have meant something to you that you were like maybe waiting for an offer on or something, you're not going to get those anymore. And they've got tons of other data on you anyway. There's no such thing as privacy anymore. So even if there's a slight pushback, it's almost going to be a bit superficial. It's like, we took back some stuff, but you kept a lot. So what's the point? You might as well just keep ads on, so you can get stuff that's relevant. Because when people are setting up these Facebook funnels, I like to play the ad game. If there's something I'm actually interested in, I'll just click on it and I'll come back off again, and I'll wait to get remarketed so I can get the product cheaper. But that's just me being a marketer, I guess. I'm not sure a lot of people think like that, but maybe they do for like email newsletters, for instance.
Well, there's a lot of, I mean, data privacy is very important. It is important at the end of the day, but I'm not in the conspiracy much. Like, if they want to find you, they'll find. Like, you could like, you think that you're safe in your house. If they want to come to your house, they'll come to your house.
Yeah, they've got your phone bugged. They know everything by now. They constantly monitor your webcam.
Literally.
They do. So
get the tape out.
Like, genuinely, I think that's probably a good shout. But then you have to do it on your phone. Then you really start to realize how many cameras you actually have in your house. Yeah. And then your tinfoil hat gets on. And you're like, oh, okay, we got to lock this place down. Start searching for cameras all over your house. But yeah, it's such a weird conundrum to be faced with, because I've just left it to carry on. I'm like, they're going to find ways around this. I feel like it's quite superficial now. And then in like 6 months to a year, when everyone's forgotten, they'll just add another thing to the terms of service that might bring back a feature, because advertisers and brands will complain so much that eventually it will come back in some way or another.
Yeah, no one's reading the terms. Like, when you sign up to a social media, who's reading the terms of service?
Make them long on purpose. Like, I think I read a story once that someone
leave a comment if you read terms of service.
And then we can identify who the psychopaths are out there who've actually done that. We can call your mom and say you're bored.
You need to get outside. A little bit of bedtime reading.
I've got some friends we can introduce you to. It's great.
Not my friend. Turning up to the pub with some terms of service reader. Not happening.
I read this story the other day that someone had like purposely done these terms of service to test how people would do it, and one of the terms, and like right in the middle of it, was like, you sign over your soul to us and like, Satan. You also are slaves for us for life. Like,
like 20 companies have my soul already. Probably more.
Yeah, looking at you, Apple.
Apple are actually alright with it. I swear they're better than Google with data privacy.
Yeah. If anyone's ever curious, look into your Google account preferences and look at the amount of interest that they have ticked for your name. It's a very interesting thing to do. Really? Yeah, you can go through and be like, oh my God, how do they know I like this? And you're like, oh yeah, it's Google. Everything I've ever searched, they've still logged. Yeah. Like, it's a bit of a mad experience. But if you do get a chance to do it, crack on, because it's quite fun. But yeah, just like someone tested it just in terms of service, like who would actually sell their soul and make themselves a slave, and they did. Like, it was over 1,000 people just opted in to this product, and it was like, but I'm still not reading it. Like, no, I'm still not reading it.
Doing a nice infographic, my need to knows, but then there's so much that they have to include. It's just I don't know.
One of the things that I haven't seen, which I think would be a really nice touch, that no brand's probably going to do, but if you are a brand that wants to be very open and authentic, is summarize your terms of service in a video explainer if it's something that could be quite important, or again, just a nice notch on your cap for something that people will actually appreciate, like a 1 or 2 minute explainer that runs through the entire thing.
Just be open.
Yeah. and you have to put budget there. You have to sit down and actually produce it, or get someone in on like a Fiverr voice talent, for instance, to execute it. But I feel like it could be a really nice piece just to have on like a web experience if you're going through from a user experience point of view.
Definitely.
Like, oh, someone's actually finally explained their terms of service to me.
Yeah.
No one's ever done that.
Look,
and it's stuff like that. That positive PR goes so far.
You don't have to hire. If you want my soul, let me decide whether I'm willing to negotiate that, if it's worth it. Look, if you're saying I get free NBA games for life in exchange, look, we can talk about it. I paid too much for League Pass.
Yeah. Also, NBA League Pass, if you're watching, sort it out, please. Please.
Yeah,
Get
sponsor
a
the
UX
show.
designer, redesign your platform. No one likes it.
Yeah. I like it.
I'm
not.
gonna
This
tag-
is all comments are, you know.
I'm gonna tag each and every company we've mentioned today, just so they know, just so they know. But you know, on the subject of League Pass and the NBA, one of the most influential people in both of our lives was the late great Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
And I just thought I'd bring him up because he brings up a really interesting conundrum for me. I'll look at it. It's like we had this segment planned.
I didn't know this before coming here, by the way.
It's just psychic on the levels. So the late great Kobe Bryant, right
Love
there.
you, Kobe.
He was an inspiration to us all in like 1,000 different ways. But one of them was his crazy work ethic. So he was someone who was extremely determined, but he was also someone that wanted you to know that he was outworking you. And I feel like I've taken on a lot of that just in my like personal brain and stuff anyway, and overworking myself to a ridiculous point. And then comes the conundrum of work-life balance and taking care of yourself, but also maintaining the Mamba mentality, which
going
is
into
often
beast
referred
mode
to.
when you need to.
And Kobe never switched it off, and this is why he had the success he had. Yet human bodies break down, and like I've experienced it a couple times in starting a business where I've just worked myself into like a nice little flu or a cold, and now I'm like, okay, now I have to force to be laid out now and have to rest, and it shouldn't be like that. But I can't quite figure out the equation between keeping the Mamba mentality and also like not doing too much.
I think it's a threshold thing, because if you think how much, like maybe in school, how much capacity you had for working compared to now.
None, because they told me to do it all and I didn't want to.
And
Rebel.
Xbox and phone.
Shut up, Mom, I'm going to Xbox.
Yeah. And so compared to now, it's almost like you're training yourself to be able to put in the extra hour, extra 30 minutes, extra 2 hours, do a full day, work through the night. And if you're doing that, back to back, and for months on end, it's, we're not built for that. We are social beings. We are, active. You need to stay active. There's a lot of things that you might be neglecting if you have that work ethic. But
everything.
That's not to say that you can't apply that work ethic to your relationships, to your physical activity, to your work, to your family, to your,
Preach it.
things that you want to achieve. Look, if you want to play guitar, go at it hard. Don't half anything. But I guess have the balance of, okay, I'm going to spend this much of the day doing this much of the day doing this much of the day doing this. But when I do it, I'm going to be all in on that thing. I'm not going to be thinking about the other thing. I'm not going to be, you need to get in that zone and it's cliche, but you got to give your all into whatever it is you're doing. Otherwise, and like we were saying earlier with learning new skills, it takes time and it never comes overnight unless you are just one of the lucky ones who has that talent.
We all get something. Some are more useful than others. Mine was a natural inclination for yo-yos. So, pick your wins, people.
Haven't seen one yo-yo TikTok from James's account. Not one. Bring back the yo-yos.
Hung up the cape long ago.
The cape.
My career was over. If it wasn't for that bum finger, I would have gone pro.
But Kobe, I think in terms of a role model and someone to pattern your own work ethic around, whether you're into basketball or not, there's plenty of books and videos and just content out there about him.
Look up anything Kobe and you'll find it, and you'll find the Mamba mentality, and the book is also amazing.
Yeah, I mean, when he passed, you saw the outpouring of respect and support that he had. It spanned like every sport. You know, even LinkedIn. I was seeing like, you know, people that I wouldn't have even expect. Like, probably didn't. I didn't know they
knew Kobe. But
but
I feel like everyone knew Kobe.
You know, and he had such an impact on people. Partly also, you know, there's all kinds of ties coming back now, but like his storytelling and his processes of, you know, I'm going to know more about the activity that I'm doing than say it was a competitor that he was going up against. I know more about them than they know about themselves. I know what move they're going to make. He wanted to immerse himself in things, and as a result became one of the best, if not the best.
If anyone was playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers, it was Kobe.
Yeah, it was a man.
Mental warfare, physical warfare, all of it. It was great. It was great. The ultimate competitor, and just the best. I was so upset. I was like upset for a straight week. I think I cried twice.
I definitely cried on the day. It was bad. It was a sad time. It was a sad time because as he retired, and then he just started, you know, getting involved with his daughter's teams.
Yeah, because that was the heartbreaking part, right? Because you realise he worked so hard. He obviously spent so much time on the court, which means there was less time for family. So he finally got that back, and then, tragic.
And now, no more Kobe's with Nike. I can't believe it.
I don't know how to feel about it, because it's not like... Because I love the shoe, and I feel like I want to carry on his legacy, but at the same time, like, can you profit off of a man that's passed?
So long as that money's getting funneled back to the causes that he would have wanted, like that, what was the academy? The Mamba Academy?
Yeah, that was his one for teaching basketball to young girls.
Yeah, just send it all there. Like that line now is a charity line to support children, and I know that he was big into women's basketball.
Yes.
So almost
big support of the WNBA.
You know, Nike, you don't need any more. Like, you've grown enough. You've got plenty of athletes that, you know, KD, LeBron, you can profit off of all of those. But just keep that, because there's so many people, like ourselves included, that I think I have one pair of Kobe's, but it's not even like...
Same, and I cherish them as well. I've stopped wearing them.
Yeah, and it's like, it's the one, I want to be able to, you know, have someone Kobe's, pass them on to my kids, share that legacy. And even if I know that the money that I spend on these Kobe's is going towards a good cause, like the
buy two.
Yeah, exactly. Then it's and I think that with a lot of things, like one of my favorite brands is Patagonia, and partly, people say, you know, oh, it's just like overpriced and you know, it's just for show or whatever. But like, if you think about it in the sense that if a percentage of that money is going to a charity or to protect a national trust or something, then you're just chucking a bit of charity on top. Like, because how much? Yes, if you want to give to charity separately, do so. That's fine. But like, I think more businesses need to incorporate charitable giving into their business
100%,
and then people will be willing to spend the extra. But just make sure you are giving it over, though. I love that. And brands with a well and good meaning North Star always perform so much better in many different respects. But when you're like, there's a really good company called Ecology that you can partner with, that if you sell e-commerce products, they'll plant a tree on your behalf for every sale and stuff like that when you work with them. So that is like really cool, because then you can, even if you have a remote e-com business, let's say if it's completely drop shipping, you've got now a carbon negative or carbon zero drop shipping service. Like, it's awesome, and it's so easy to do. And the good thing about the website is you can actually go on and look at each tree by number, and you'll get your own landing page where you get to see each of the trees planted and someone putting them in physically. Awesome. So you get that actual proof. So there's another piece of content as well. So authentic brands doing real stuff for real people. And that also builds loyalty and advocacy.
Yeah, because they say brand loyalty is dead. It's not. Brand loyalty is in, I only go to this grocer's on the corner. The only reason that's dead is because that doesn't exist. Well, like, no one's gonna have loyalty to Tesco or Asda. What have they done for us?
No, but if you've got company A and company B, and they're both competitors of each other, and one of them, they both sell the same product. Let's say, I don't know, it's Tesco versus Asda, like you said.
Yeah.
One of them, part of every sale you make, is going to schools. The other one, it's not. And you might be paying a little bit extra. Now, obviously, if you're in the position where you have that little bit extra to spend, me personally, I'm going to go to the place where it's going to help out a bit more, and not necessarily just go into the pockets of the CEOs and everything. But everyone's different. But I think that there's so much, especially if it's related to what the product is and it makes sense.
Yes.
So like Patagonia and green incentives, then like it will work way like a lot better, just because you almost know that your audience is already interested in that sort of thing.
The way we phrase it in the agency is true sponsorship synergy, which is very hard to say. But it's like, does this actually make sense? Whether it's an influencer partnership, whether it's a charity partnership, like just make sure it makes sense. Like one of the random ones I saw, I think we see it a lot, like games partnering with brands that make no sense. So I was eating at Chopsticks the other day, which is at the top of West Key. It's like a new noodle place, and for some reason all of their like boxes were covered in Resident Evil 7, and I was like, what on earth does Resident Evil 7 have to do with chow mein? Like, I can't quite comprehend the difference there. And it's not like it's a food brand known to be like a gamer's haven or anything. So I'm just like, they've obviously just tried to find the nearest brand partnership they could and just whacked it on there.
Yeah,
because it's not going to bring in any revenue, and it's not going to do anything for any social cause or kind of brand facing North Star. So what is the point? Find someone that matches, but that back into influencer marketing, fuel the creators in your niche, because that is why. Do you remember when on YouTube, if you had a sponsor, everyone would just call you a sellout? Like everyone, like at least of our age, remembers that. Like if you had a sponsor, oh, this guy's selling out. He's making money. He's going to change now.
Yeah, now I've got to skip a minute of my video.
Yeah, like. Ads suck in general, but if you're watching a video with no ads, like, oh, this is sick, and like, this is sponsored by NordVPN, you're like, God damn it! But now, if it's a creator that you actually like and you see them get a sponsorship, you're like, yes, someone's actually supporting this guy.
And you just know that now they could probably do more content and more of the stuff that I like. Sure, I have to put up with the odd ad, but like,
like if you are seen to support the people that mean a lot to your customer, is a next level partnership to do, and it takes a lot of thought to analyze each person's content and figure out how good of a match are we. And if I was to put this influencer in a room with your CEO or your managing director, would they get on? Like, because those are supposed to be your leaders at the end of the day, and that is also a good judge of if this is a good match for the brand. So carry that on 100%. Push forward with stuff that makes sense, guys, because at the end of the day, if it's something that a normal person would do, a brand should do it as well. That's 100%. Always what it comes down to.
Yeah.
We have waffled for quite a while. This has been a 50-minute episode, which
50?
has been 50. Yeah.
Yeah, probably cut it down to like 10.
Yeah, there's so much stuff we have to can in here now. But I want to thank everyone for listening, watching, wherever you may be digesting it. We're going to be putting out a ton of different clips. We're going to be posting this across a ton of different networks as well. So like, comment, share. This is going to be the start of an amazing journey. Hope to film one every Friday to post on Monday for the full episode. And we'll be putting out clips periodically throughout the time. But Alex, thank you for making the time, man. I know it's late on a Friday, so I appreciate you coming down.
Thank you for having me. The coffee helped.
The coffee did help. Supercharged. I'm now coming down, definitely. So we either need another one or we need to go to sleep.
I think for a first episode, it's good though. I think it was organic.
Yeah, I think we did great. So
closing comments. If you want to sell a story, you've got to be able to tell a story.
That's right. And if you want to write a story, you got to read a book. Read a book. I don't know where I'm going with this.
Read your books, kids.
Everyone's make sure that, English literature, don't sleep on it. Because all that extra evaluating that you think is pointless, that why they use the green here, that's the storytelling bit afterwards. Here, contextualize your GCSEs, and you'll find they're very much more practical. I'll see everyone later. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
Peace.